Sylvanas Windrunner. A character that has become so controversial, this showing up on somebody's subscription box might be enough to make them dislike the video and unsubscribe without even watching the video. A lot of people love this character, a lot of people hate her. And over the last few years, well, the hating part became more of a thing. Since this will be my own perspective on things, I'll do a short intro for those who don't even know who the hell I am. Then I'll tell why I like Sylvanas Windrunner, and then I'll jump into the actual content. So, I'm just your average video game enjoyer. When it comes to World of Warcraft, I honestly first started playing in December 2021. Yeah, despite all the negativity, a combination of Hearthstone and Heroes of the Storm made me interested in the actual game. I also quit after like a week because the game didn't really seem engaging story-wise. BFA was a mistake in my opinion, or at least it wasn't that great or suitable as a new player. So I'm not going to lie, I might not be exactly an expert on this topic, but I feel like fresh perspectives can definitely be a useful thing, and I did my research for this video. So why do I like Sylvanas? Well, I first started playing her in Heroes of the Storm. And I don't know what it is, but something about her visual design or world design in general, it was just very appealing to me. And I just kind of like female badass in fiction, to be honest. Mukuro from Danganronpa, Minane from Mirai and Nikki, Toka from Tokyo Ghoul. Wait, the first two also committed war crimes. This is a concerning pattern. Regardless, the cinematics for World of Warcraft started appearing in my recommended search shortly after, and I was hooked on them. Didn't know shit about the story honestly, but seeing her in those awesome cinematics made me like the character more. So then I watched like an hour and a half breakdown on who she is, her lore, her background, and I was even more interested, you know. So I started playing World of Warcraft. I wanted to know more about Sylvanas, other characters I saw in the Battle for Azeroth cinematics and stuff. And instead of actually seeing those relevant characters, I was stuck helping some random trolls for like 60 levels. World of Warcraft is such a great experience for new players. Now one last thing before I jump into the actual contents of this video. I will likely revisit this topic after reading through the upcoming Sylvanas novel, which I pre-ordered as the pathetic simp I am. And the goal of this video isn't to hate on any characters. I will be quite harsh towards artists, but when talking about Sylvanas I think that just makes sense. But my main reason for this video is that a lot of people think that Sylvanas cannot be redeemed, and I simply think that is a false statement. Now, first let's talk about the Ranger General Sylvanas, before Arthas bonked her. She did nothing wrong, honestly. Nothing to defend here. She was just minding her business, some evil guy came up to her hometown, she defended with all her strength, got shanked trying to protect her people, and basically died as a hero. At least, well, an attempt to be a hero. And that was basically the last we saw of, well, Ranger General Sylvanas. 9.2 upcoming patch spoilers, by the way. Skip ahead like 10 seconds if you don't want to get spoiled. And then she wakes up, many years later. Hey, this other version of you committed war crimes, so, well, fuck you. You're a bad person now. Yeah, that's kind of messed up. Poor girl did nothing wrong though. She couldn't realistically have done anything about this. Now, the Banshee Queen. The Sylvanas we all love, or hate. Would it exist without King Arthas? So, well, I do kind of appreciate her existence, you know. Everything the Sylvanas has done wrong is the result of Arthas being a jackass. Now, what faction did Arthas belong to? The Alliance. So, the Burning of Daldrasil, that makes people hate Sylvanas so much. There are many people to blame that aren't Sylvanas and Arthas, and to an extent the Alliance is honestly the one to actually blame. If they kept their prince at bay, none of this would have happened. So if you go out and hate on Sylvanas for the burning of Daldrasil, yet you praise Arthas for being cool or something like that, you're just a hypocrite, not gonna lie. Although, to be fair, Arthas during his life was well written. Can't say the same for recent Sylvanas, sadly. Now, one character I can compare to the Banshee Queen from fiction, and I will probably lose quite a few of you here in this video, is Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto. Both were, at some point, good people. Something very bad happened to them, turning their life around. After this, their entire reason for existence became revenge. As a result, anyone able to help them became tools in their revenge. Arrows in their quiver, one could say. Sasuke had Taka, his gang of people, as a tool to get to his goal, his revenge, killing his brother Itachi, who ruined his life. Then, when he actually figured out the truth, he wanted to avenge his brother. A good example of using his people as a tool was him piercing Danzo right through Karin. It wasn't that he wanted Karin dead, it was more that he was willing to sacrifice that pawn to get somebody who created his misery in his first place. He was blinded by revenge. Now, for the Banshee Queen, there was a similar tale. Her entire reason for existence is basically avenging her own death, and her people that died. She needed Arthas dead. And, just like Sasuke, she had her own group of people that she was willing to sacrifice to reach that goal, the Forsaken. And it's not like she hated the Forsaken or anything, quite the opposite. But if it meant taking down Arthas, she was willing to sacrifice many of them. In return, most of the Forsaken didn't mind to sacrifice either. They were loyal to their Dark Lady. And one could call this evil, using people as tools. But if it's for a greater good, stopping somebody like Arthas, is it really evil? At worst I would say this is neutral. Best case one could consider it a good deed. And of course, neither of these characters are flawless. Especially Sasuke had a lot of flaws. Which, for Sylvanas, really wasn't the case until Arthas died. But a healthy amount of flaws are good, it makes a character more interesting. Without flaws you get a generic, boring Mary Sue. Who likes Mary Sues? I surely don't. Another reason for these two specific characters for this comparison, besides them being among my favorite fictional characters, little fun fact, Sasuke was my first cosplay ever. Use this information however you want. Well, both these characters struggled with post-mission success. They lived for one goal for countless years, worked towards it, then succeeded. What then? Your reason to live is gone. For Sasuke, it ended up being more revenge. Granted, he realized Itachi never was in the wrong, and if anything, was protecting Sasuke, so we can't really blame Sasuke here. But he wants to destroy an entire village now. It's his new goal, destroying an entire group of the population basically. A genocide, one could call it. Luckily, unlike Sylvanas, Sasuke actually had people in his life who turned him towards the right path. And now he's living a happyish life being a hero for his people. Sylvanas, well, after she succeeded assisting in the death of Arthas, she was also lost. But to make things worse, she never really had an outside factor. No rival or person on the other side, or even her own side, who tried steering her into the right direction morally. The closest thing we ever had was Anduin, and when Anduin actually ended up reaching out to Sylvanas, she did change her ways. It took a bit, but she ended up betraying the jailer. Now, Anduin might not 100% be the reason for this, but I think anyone can tell that he played a key role in this. Now imagine somebody like that appearing earlier in her life, guiding her life after the death of Arthas. You probably wouldn't even be talking about the same Sylvanas right now. Also, the jailer, an important factor here. She succeeded at her goal. Arthas was gone. She was finally satisfied. She accomplished what she needed to do. So now it was time to commit a low tier god speech here. But then she ran into a huge issue. Oh, your soul is gonna end up in what is basically hell for all eternity. Yeah, that's right. You died as a hero once, didn't get a peaceful death, instead got this whole situation going on with the Banshee Queen thing. Oh, now you died as a hero again, trying to, assist in the death of Arthas, and then, after you're being done, you just want, well, peace in the afterlife. Well, no, fuck you, you're gonna burn in hell. For all eternity. Basically. But hey, here's this funny guy with nipples that can help you out to prevent your soul from going to eternal damnation. You just gotta help him. And I can't highlight it enough, this was really fucked up. Even as the Banshee Queen, this version of Sylvanas kind of lacked the moral compass. Until this point she had been a hero. She did everything she could to assist in the defeat of Arthas. No matter how many people did trust her. Yet, she was punished, and forced to help the jailer or face eternal damnation, basically. And yeah, you can call Sylvanas weak for accepting the jailer's deal, assisting him in some way, instead of just going to hell. But remember, she has flaws, and imagine yourself in that position. How far would you go to save yourself from guaranteed eternal damnation? It's easy to say and to just lie and say you wouldn't help the jailer. But let's be honest, likely you would help him. At least, I'm gonna be honest, I would. Now keep that in mind when you look at the Burning of Daldrasil. It's still an awful event, and it shouldn't have happened, but considering this was likely actively the plan of the jailer, and he needed their souls in the maw, it started making like 1% sense. This was still atrocious fighting, Burning of Daldrasil shouldn't have happened. Plus, this was the Banshee Queen. Lacking a moral compass already kind of, that already was kind of an issue. So is her going down the path just bad writing? No, sadly it kind of does make sense. Keep this in mind with other terrible events post-load to your gold speech attempt. She was already being manipulated. She really didn't have much of a choice. Sure, nipple guys can only really appeared in Shadowlands, but something was at least somewhat controlling her in the shadows before this. Something akin to the jailer was already being set up ages ago. Another interesting point, War Chief Sylvanas. What the fuck was Nipple Man thinking, since it was likely his choice? This was not a great choice at all. Important quote here. She cursed Vol'jin for trusting the public position of War Chief onto her. She shouldn't have been the War Chief. Haters of Sylvanas will naturally agree, Other Alliance players that jumped to the Horde, that, didn't play that faction, that are now hating on War Chief Sylvanas. Of course, your Alliance. Of course you don't like Sylvanas. But fans of Sylvanas will also agree. She should not have been War Chief. She was an awesome character, but putting her into a spot like this, that's just a terrible choice. She only really cared about herself after what she saw during her LTG attempt, and to a certain degree the Forsaken. Why would she even lead the Horde, a group she, probably appreciated for helping her and Forsaken out and giving them a home, but beyond that, to her the Horde really didn't mean that much. Also, Sylvanas really wasn't bad before the death of Arthas in her LTG attempt. Sure, she did some questionable things, like developing the Plague on Innocence, but that's more morally grey than truly evil. It's fucked up, but if it meant stopping the Lich King, could ruin everything if not defeated, including those, test subjects. It was just a small price to pay in comparison, although it's still wrong. Also, here's a quote I would like to talk about more. "You are all nothing," she said to the Horde. I mean, was she wrong? What has the Horde done for her, besides just allowing her to continue down a path of destruction? If the Horde remotely cared about her and her people, they could have went for some intervention, somebody like Thrall. Hey, we don't hate you and your people, but you've done some things recently we'd rather not see. And we want you to help you and Forsaken be in a better place, something like that. Instead of going, you're literally like the guy who defiled your corpse and made you into this monster. Like Garrosh, when you naturally just want to replenish your fallen members of the Forsaken, and can't do it the normal way since you're undead. Also, the Alliance are definitely to blame for a lot for how she ended up like this. Their prince, the Alliance prince, created the Banshee Queen. Yet the Alliance didn't accept the Forsaken nor Sylvanas. Former High Elves and humans mostly. Members of the Alliance. Now I'll quote something which I sadly couldn't find a source for on the wiki, so take it with a grain of salt. Her emissaries to the Alliance never returned. Sylvanas suspected they hadn't survived long enough to even make it past the gates of Stormwind City. You wanna point fingers at Sylvanas for committing genocide? How about you point some bloody fingers at the Alliance for allowing the cause of the Forsaken to be a thing, Arthas, and then not helping a group of people in need that exists as a result of the actions of their prince Arthas? Also, another thing that goes to show the Banshee Queen isn't all evil. Who pushed for Blood Elves' acceptance into the Horde? Sylvanas. Who pushed for consistent assistance and helping of those elves? Sylvanas. The so-called monster Banshee Queen Sylvanas. That is evil. Then there's the so-called Red Gate. Sylvanas got backstabbed by an ally. He truly needed this plague to defeat the Scourge. In comes Putris, betraying her. Was Sylvanas at fault for trusting Putris in the first place? Maybe, but this was more of a mistake than something you can morally blame her for. Now, a somewhat in-depth look at the Burning of Daldrasil. Look, this entire happening and event was just stupid. Never ever should this have happened. Make no mistake, I will try to kind of argue for Sylvanas a little bit here, but what the fuck, Blizzard? What were you thinking? Why? I'm not sure how the jailer convinced her to do this, but it's so hypocritical for somebody like Sylvanas, who died and lost a lot of her people trying to save them from some undead being, but then inflict the same pain upon the Night Elves. It's like they were trying to turn her into a Lich King too. Except if she truly believed what she did for the jailer made this sacrifice worthwhile, and in her own eyes it seemed like everyone seemed to be damned anyways. This world is a prison, and it will set us all free. It seems like she was trying to do something beyond life and death. True freedom for everyone. In her eyes, life on Azeroth was worthless anyway, including those same poor Night Elves she killed. To us, this line of reasoning might sound utterly insane, but from Sylvanas' point of view, it might make sense. Now I wonder if the upcoming novel will cover this. Why did she do this? Also, honestly, Saurfang was to blame if anything. If he didn't choke up and pretended to be a hero by not killing Malfurion, Daldrasil probably wouldn't have burned. Saurfang just had to kill one person. He had one job. But by fucking this up, because, you know, it's not honorable to attack somebody in the back or something like that, Sylvanas needed something else to crush the enemy morale in another way. So if anything, Saurfang being completely and utterly incompetent is to blame for the burning of Daldrasil. This is war. If they didn't burn down that tree, the morale of enemies wouldn't have went down, and it would have cost Sylvanas and her people way more lives during the upcoming war. More lives than they might have killed here. Alliance lives. Lives that probably barely meant anything to her. Because remember, Sylvanas and her Forsaken, victims of the Alliance Lich King, weren't offered refugee from that same alliance. They didn't care for the lives of her and the Forsaken. So why would Sylvanas value the lives of the people of the Alliance then? It was at their lives versus the lives of the enemy situation, which in the first place wouldn't have happened if Saurfang didn't fuck up. Then again, maybe Sylvanas would have burned down Daldrasil even if Malfurion was dead. We don't know this for sure. But yeah, this sounds fucked up, but our lives versus their lives is a consideration that might be considered in war times. Sadly including lives of civilians. I've heard people say that the burning of Daldrasil was totally a joke and that it's such a mustache twirling stereotypical villain type thing to do. As if it's completely not realistic to do such a thing. But time to compare it slightly to something that happened in real life. Now I do apologize for bringing this harsh topic up even, no disrespect meant to anyone, I'm just comparing this event in a game to something that happened for similar-ish reasons in real life. America nuked Japan 2 times to ensure they wouldn't lose more lives on their own side during the Second World War. Was this a terrible thing to do? Well, naturally. Should there have been severe consequences for those 2 nukes towards America? Well, this isn't a political video, if you want politics go watch a Metal Gear Rising Avengers playthrough, so not answering that one for you. Murdering tons of innocents to save the lives of your own people isn't uncommon even in real life, sadly. And I'm not justifying anyone here. The 2 nukes, I'm not trying to justify nor the burning of Daldrasil. But real humans are able and have done in the past similar things. Why is a fictional character, a war chief, a military leader of a faction, doing something to this extent unrealistic? It's not unrealistic. I already apologized once, but I would like to apologize again. I really don't mean to trigger or offend anyone with this comparison I just made. Some might consider this comparison in bad taste, and honestly if you do I don't blame you, I do apologize, but you know, I just want to take a real life example of something that happened. My goal was to simply point out the burning of Daldrasil, while poorly written, isn't that far-fetched. But Sylvanas barely is to blame for this. They already had plans. Sylvanas was forced to improvise because of Saurfang fucking up. Remember, if the Alliance kept their prince in control, there would be no prince artist killing Sylvanas. So yeah, there are a few people to blame before we start blaming Sylvanas for anything. And even then there's still little ground to stand on to justify her actions. Considering her totally irredeemable for this is just silly. And now I'm using some post-Legion material to defend her again, canon material that is honestly poorly written, wish it wasn't canon, but here we are. She, the Banshee Queen, isn't full evil at all. The Banshee Queen resisted the jailer. We can thank Anduin for this, but Sylvanas, the Banshee Queen, resisted and shot the jailer. He could have easily killed her or something similar to punish her actions. But even knowing what was waiting for her post that, she still, the Banshee Queen, resisted. And now it doesn't fully redeem past actions, or even get close to it, but at least shows that the Banshee Queen Sylvanas is redeemable. The Banshee Queen. She just needed better guidance, probably among a few things, and sorry Nathanos, but you being a pure simp that doesn't really give her any guidance doesn't help. Now other stuff in general post the death of Arthas is hard to talk about. A lot of new information is still coming in. Shadowlands, the upcoming novel. Once again I might make a sequel to this video for those reasons. But from what we can tell, she was kind of forced to do almost all bad things post her death. The jailer manipulated her into thinking she was doing the right thing, and she did actively change post Arthas' death. She went from even caring about another race, the Blood Elves, to not caring anymore about the Forsaken even. Right now her writing just doesn't make sense. Even then I don't think Sylvanas is fully to blame or anything like that. I think right now the good thing to do is to wait for answers, and hope we even get answers in the first place. But I hope this video at least gave people some more insight into why Sylvanas isn't fully evil. A war crime arc with the burning of Daldrasil makes a little bit of sense, everything considered, but it's still terrible writing. So yeah, Blizzard ruined Sylvanas, kind of, but I think if they were to give a fuck, they could still save this character at least a bit. The bad thing she did under control of the jailer, believing it was the right thing for everyone. I mean, in her own twisted perspective, those night elves likely would have suffered in that anyway. Don't forget, Sylvanas was a hero twice. She died protecting the High Elves, and she played an important role in stopping Arctis. And yeah, she didn't hurt people, or killed Arctis herself, but she bloody tried. You can't do more than try and kill them best. So saying she's irredeemable or a badly written character is honestly just ignorant. Redeeming her, it's kind of tough though. But everything considered, most of her actions can be defended. Thanks to bad writing, it isn't easy, but it can be done.